An adventure doesn't have to be dangerous. It doesn't have to be big. An adventure is something you feel in your bones, something other than routine. When the twilight fails to give way to the night, when you struggle to sleep through the wind and sway, that can be an adventure. That's not to say an adventure is only what you choose to make it. Sometimes it chooses you. Sometimes a sleeping bag on the deck of a boat, an hourly alarm, and a watchful eye are the only things standing between your boat and the crush of an iceberg. And if that iceberg never comes, sometimes an adventure might just be that moonlit night. The icebergs that wander the waters of Stevens Passage can vary substantially in size, ranging from just a few feet in diameter to the size of an Alaskan cottage. These dramatic chunks of ice are unpredictable at best. Although the largest icebergs tend to be the ones that capture the imagination, it's actually the smaller ones, nicknamed growlers, that can be the most dangerous to a boat of this size. Just 1 cubic foot of solid ice weighs 57.2 pounds, meaning that something as small as a Lazy Boy recliner can weigh over half a ton. And with that kind of weight, even a moderate impact could pierce the fiberglass hull of a sailboat. A bad situation in any scenario, but one made all the worse when you realize that even in the summertime up here, the water is only 18 degrees above freezing. Part of what makes an iceberg so dangerous is the fact of how low it actually sits in the water. Depending on the salt content of the seawater an iceberg floats in, anywhere from 87 to 90% of the iceberg's volume will be located beneath the surface, a fact that's mainly due to density. Due to the expansion of ice crystals as they grow, ice is actually less dense than the water it freezes from, a calculation that can be done in physics simply by dividing mass by volume. And it only takes a little bit of simple math to show you that increasing something's volume without increasing its mass actually diminishes its density. So since ice is 91.7% the mass density of fresh water, it means that 91.7% of a piece of floating ice will actually be hanging out below the water's surface, meaning that potentially 91.7% of an iceberg will go unseen by a navigator trying to steer his craft through an ice field. And even with that fact being well recited in pop science, it still can truly be hard to appreciate what this actually means until you finally see one out of the water. The unseen breadth of these captivating sculptures makes certain stretches of our journey far more dangerous than others, and navigating an even sparsely populated ice field requires acute attention and a sharp eye. And this is doubly important when one of these submersed obstacles is exceptionally clear. The remarkable clarity in some of these icebergs is the product of centuries of weight and pressure from the countless layers of snowpack making up the glaciers found upstream. And the massive weight of these incredible hulking ice giants actually squeezes air spaces within the ice until they get into smaller and smaller spaces, thus encouraging more and more ice crystal growth and eventually squeezing air pockets into nothing but the tiniest of air bubbles. The clearer the iceberg, the older the ice. And by the time the glaciers finally calve off these clearest of ice chunks, the ice within them is thousands of years old. These white and blue wonders are a beautiful example of the power and the beauty of nature. You mind your distance at times, aware that a flipping iceberg can mean a violent end. But as you wind up the channel to find where the stories begin, the field of squished snowfalls slowly grows more crowded. In your heart, you know that a crack in the ice is only an echo of what lies upstream, but what a beautiful echo it is. For many of us, this echo is enough to satisfy the lifetime of wonder. But part of me believes that when our eyes see captivating beauty, the back of our mind is simply telling us to wake up because we've only glimpsed a piece of something big. Part of me knows that what sleeps upstream is often more important than what dances downriver. Keep adventuring.
halfway there.
Don't give up, they got me, mighty Joe.